The NFL is not ready for this as we have a marquee AFC Championship matchup this coming weekend. In the Mile High City, history is repeating itself as the New England Patriots come into town to face the Denver Broncos with Jarrett Stidham at the helm. And with some injury updates and some other very notable topics to cover, we have a very action-packed video for you today with a very special guest from Patriots Digest. We have Jace Andrews joining us here at Broncos Digest today to get a little bit more of a Patriots side of the perspective for this game as we continue to get ready for what's going to be a very exciting, very electric AFC Championship matchup in the Mile High City. Jace, thanks so much for joining me on Broncos Digest today.
I'm happy to be here because it means I'm in the AFC Championship. So that's all that matters. Us Patriots fans have had a long history of losing, 5 years maybe, and we need to win now. And it's time for to win right here with Drake May.
Yeah, and we talked about this on Patriots Digest. So Patriots fans, if you've somehow ended up on this video with Broncos Digest, make sure you pop over to Patriots Digest as well. Check out the other video that was more hosted by Jace and me giving my perspectives on the talking points that he wanted to cover. But anyways, in that video, we talked about how regardless of who wins this weekend, we're just happy there's no more Patrick Mahomes, no more Jalen Hurts. Finally, some new faces with an opportunity for glory to punch their ticket to Super Bowl 60. Obviously, I'm hoping it can be the Broncos. You're hoping it can be the Patriots. But whoever it is, it's neither of those quarterbacks and the teams that they lead. And I think that can be a win for everybody at the end of the day.
Yeah, I said it in the Patriots video. Thank goodness Jalen Hurts is not in there. I cannot stand him or Nick Sirianni for that case scenario. And one other fact, A.J. Brown is about to be a Patriot, so putting that out there.
All right, well, we got a lot to cover today, and we're kicking things off with a pretty crazy injury update that's been circulating around the NFL media world, and it's from Adam Schefter, the king of NFL news. But it's been out for a few days now. Sources have revealed that Broncos are opening the practice window for JK Dobbins, who suffered what was thought to be a season-ending foot injury all the way back in Week 10 against the Raiders. He was having an unreal season. He was on pace to have one of the best seasons by a running back during this NFL season, and he even still has more rush yards than our now RB1 RJ Harvery. Dobbins has a chance to play in Sunday's AFC Championship game versus the Patriots. He's even been teasing it himself a little bit on his social platforms, on his Instagram and such. Jace, from your perspective, from the Patriots' perspective, what kind of implications does this pose if the Broncos are able to get their star-studded running back in the lineup for this AFC Championship game?
Makes you a lot more scary, I'm going to be honest. Like when Jarrett Stidham got announced as the starting quarterback and then injury popped out, I'm going to be honest, I felt decently confident. But since then, my confidence has almost lessened just seeing the expectations for Jarrett Stidham and also the fact that if you add in JK Dobbins with RJ Harvery, that is something to be acquainted with and understand. The one take that I have in me, though, is that the Patriots are the best rushing defense left in the playoffs in my mind. I know that might be hard to say, especially to the Broncos fans and the Seahawks and all that, but I really do think the Patriots are one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. And in the playoffs, they've allowed the second least amount of rushing yards. So I really do think that this is a situation where if JK does play, I feel confident they can overcome it, but I am going to say that he would definitely worry me more if he was on the field.
Yeah, and over the last few weeks for the Broncos, whether it be the one playoff game that they've played since they were the 1 seed, they got the bye, and then they beat the Bills in that thriller of a game last weekend. What the scenario's been is Sean Payton has kind of used all these different Swiss Army knife type of players as a sort of running back role for the RB1 because he isn't as confident in his run game without JK Dobbins. You look at the Bills game, Bo Nix had the most rush attempts and rush yards by any Bronco player out on the field on the offense. RJ Harvery and Jaleel McLaughlin had less rush yards and less rush attempts than Bo Nix. That right there shows that there isn't as much confidence in the run game. You're going to have confidence in it regardless of whether or not J.K. Dobbins is back because you have a quarterback with not as much experience now at the helm in Jarrett Stidham, which we're going to get into momentarily as well. But J.K. Dobbins, obviously, if he's back, that elevates the run game quite a bit, and it would definitely help the offensive charge for the Denver Broncos. We are actually going to talk about the Patriots and their ability to defend the rush. We have some more talking points to get into, but before we do so, we have a quick message from Kalshi, one of our sponsors here at Digest Media. Before we get into all of today's Denver Broncos news, I want to remind you that this video is brought to you by Kalshi. Kalshi is the largest prediction market that is currently live in the United States. And on their platform, you can trade yes or no on real-life events, sports, elections, and really any event you can think of. If you're in Texas or Colorado or anywhere across the country, Kalshi is currently live in all 50 states. For sports fans, you can trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or player performances, all on a regulated market where you can cash out anytime. And for Broncos fans, you can trade on something like the Super Bowl odds. The Broncos are currently the third favorite team to win the Super Bowl, and you can trade on the Broncos taking home the Lombardi Trophy and making it all the way to Super Bowl 60 after they just recently clinched the number 1 seed in the AFC. This, along with so many more football props or any props you can think of in sports, as well as any other big events going on in the world, you can trade all of it on Kalshi. It's a smarter way to use your sports or news knowledge, and you can close positions whenever you want. So download Kalshi with the link in the description and use code DIGESTNFL to get $20 when you trade $100 on Kalshi. Can't hammer this point in enough, guys. Go over to Kalshi.com right now. Start trading on the largest trade market in the United States of America, whether you're in Denver as a Broncos fan, Massachusetts as a Patriots fan, if you're a fan of either of those teams in any other state, Kalshi's live in all 50 states in the U.S., and you can trade on Broncos props, Patriots props, sports props. If you're more than just a football fan, there's NBA, NFL, or NBA, NHL, MLB, all that good stuff. Jace, I wanted to ask you, what's your lock trade for the AFC Championship game this coming weekend? Like, what is one thing that you are absolutely confident that if you traded on Kalshi, it's going to hit?
Pretty sure I'm going to trade on the weather being above 60 degrees. No, I'm going to say that Hunter Henry's going to get a touchdown as my trade. That's the one I've been locking in all week. I'm using my $20 bonus on that personally this week. I've been saving it for the AFC Championship because I know it's going to hit, and I'm excited to use it.
There you go. That's awesome. You can head over to Kalshi right now and use that code DIGESTNFL. You can get some money back in your pocket, and you can use your sports or news, or in Jace's case, weather knowledge to your advantage. So head over to Kalshi right now and get trading. All right, let's keep this going. Here is the rankings as far as defending the rush goes. And you see the Patriots on there. They have the 6th best defending the rush defense in the league. A team that is a little bit higher, the Denver Broncos, they defend the rush pretty well as well. It's obviously not too far, just a few hundred yards separated from one another. But, you know, just going a little bit deeper into the Patriots side of things, how much do you think the Patriots will be able to defend the rush with versus without JK Dobbins? How much of a difference do you think you'll see there, Jace, in the Patriots' ability to defend the ball on the ground for the Broncos?
I think RJ Harvery is a fantastic back. So no matter who is on the field, I think it's going to be a difficult situation for the Patriots. I will say that I am more scared of JK Dobbins and more fearful of his rushing attack than what we would see from McLaughlin or from RJ Harvey, as I consider them a lot better receiving back, especially Harvey. But Milton Williams is where I look to with the running game stopper, because when he's on the field, the Patriots have been the best running defense in the NFL. He missed 4 games, and that's those extra 100 yards that you've kind of talked about that has separated the Patriots from the Broncos, and in that case scenario, the Jaguars as well. In those 4 games, we allowed more rushing yards than we had in the prior 8 games. So we really kind of struggled in the back half of the season, just losing that top tier defensive lineman. I think we're more confident than ever on the defensive line, which also helps. But JK Dobbins does scare me simply because we haven't seen him since week 10 too. So you have to prepare for Jarrett Stidham, who hasn't thrown a pass since 2023, and then a guy who hasn't played in 7 weeks. Just a lot of preparation that you don't have a lot of film on.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on any updates circulating around JK Dobbins. The update we shared regarding the Adam Schefter report, that's the most information that we have. But today is Wednesday, and the Broncos start practice, and they start preparing for this weekend's AFC Championship today. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of a better idea of what that looks like as far as JK Dobbins and everything. Just speaking on the injuries in general, JK Dobbins, along with a few of our receivers, Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, Luke Wattenberg, our center, who's been on IR for the last few weeks, and Brandon Jones. These are all assets that we will need in this game for the Broncos. You see the start that Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant had in the Bills game before Pat Bryant left on concussion protocol. Troy Franklin left with an upper body injury as well. This team is battered up and beaten down. Having these assets in the game would be huge for the Denver Broncos. And, something, Jace, that we talked about on your Patriots Digest channel that I kind of want to segue into this next talking point as well is the O-line conversation for the Broncos. Luke Wattenberg, if he's back off IR, is obviously one of many pieces to this league best offensive line for the Denver Broncos. And for the Patriots, it's going to be a tough one, a harder one that they've faced over the last few weeks. How do you think they're going to be able to handle one of the best offensive lines in the league here in this AFC Championship matchup?
I think it takes a different mindset because we've been in the mindset of the past two defensive lines we've faced have been, quite frankly, horrible. I mean, the Texans' offensive line was one of the worst in the leagues. The Chargers, I believe, was the worst in the NFL. And now we face a team that is not in that situation. Jarrett Stidham is a rushing quarterback that you could see that being a very good option. But I think to me, it's a different mindset of we're going to disguise our coverages and we're going to say, run the ball. I try and run the ball against our defensive four-man front, and we're going to use our linebackers and we're going to play zone with them. And we're going to have man coverage on the outside and force Jarrett Stidham to throw the ball. Like we're going to let you basically, have time in the pocket for the ball, but we're not going to let you run. Like as soon as we see you hand it off, obviously everybody's going to in that way. So I think it's going to be a lot more emphasis on the offensive line for y'all is great. And we're going to respect that by playing more toward the coverage and forcing Jarrett Stidham to make big time throws.
Yeah, and I think that's a great take. And I think that the Patriots coaching staff, Mike Vrabel and everybody behind him, you guys have the assets to play around with your play calling a little bit and mess with the coverage in a sense that you can sort of deal with these interesting types of adversity that you're facing, and that you have a new quarterback that you're facing, a quarterback that you're a little more familiar with than people originally thought, and potentially some offensive assets that are coming back from injury. I'm obviously not going to sugarcoat it. The coaching staff for the Patriots and the players they have in front of them, it's nothing to be slept on. I think it's going to pose a very good challenge for the now quarterback shorthanded Denver Broncos. Speaking of quarterback shorthanded, the man of the hour, Jarrett Stidham, he is getting more attention than I think he suspected he would this week after the Broncos clinched their ticket to the AFC Championship. Just a few minutes. I don't even think we had hit an hour after that field goal went through the uprights to secure the win. It was announced that Bo Nix had broken his ankle on the third to last play of overtime. He went and had surgery yesterday in Alabama, and he is done for the season. Jarrett Stidham now at the helm as the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. And Jace, there is some relationship between the Patriots and Stidham more than people originally had thought. Mike Vrabel on the Greg Hill Show, he had shared that Patriots did a lot of work on QB Jarrett Stidham as a free agent target in the offseason. They wanted him to back up Drake May. Stidham was among those considered for the QB2 role. It ultimately landed in Joshua Dobbs. Vrabel notes that McDaniels coached Stidham from 2019 to 2021. So there's clearly a relationship there. The Patriots understand the way that this quarterback plays. And there had even been some remarks of Vrabel talking on Stidham's agent in free agency. And the agent's message was, if you don't want your starting quarterback to get hurt, you should sign Jarrett. But Vrabel had also said he thinks he sees things really well. A lot to unpack here, obviously. First of all, what do you make of this quote that people are interpreting in so many different ways in the media? And then secondly, how do you think knowing this quarterback to an extent is going to give you guys an advantage potentially in this AFC Championship game?
I cannot really break down that quote. I truly don't know what it means. I've sat here and thought about it for hours on end. I'm like, okay, is the agent saying that, hey, he's not a good quarterback? So if you don't want your QB to hurt, don't get us because you're going to be screwed after that. Or is the agent saying like, oh, we trusted him, and like if you don't want him to get hurt, like we've had a pretty good success of when he signs, the quarterback tends to play well or doesn't get hurt. Like I don't know, it's just kind of a weird quote in general to me, but we'll have to wait and see, to be honest. I do think, however, that Josh McDaniels, knowing him, will give the Patriots a little bit of a boost. Knowing the way he plays, knowing the way he's able to kind of diagnose a defense could also kind of come into play.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth in the same way you have regarding what the heck this quote means. Actually dropped a video surrounding this subject on Broncos Digest last night. Go check it out if you haven't. And a lot of people in the comments are saying his agent's saying if your starter gets hurt, you're going to have a starting QB to fill that role. I think it's the only logical interpretation, along with a lot of people that are interpreting as well, because somebody's agent dogging on him like this to the public media, I mean, that would not only be insane, but I think it would result in Stidham immediately firing him. So I think that it's more so if you want to have a starting quarterback fill the role of your starting quarterback, which is confusing as that is to hear, you should sign a guy like Stidham, which looks great for the Broncos. And I mentioned it earlier, it was one of the first moves that Sean Payton made as the Broncos head coach. So I definitely think that it's going to be interesting to see both how Stidham plays and how the Patriots approach the coverage of Jarrett Stidham and trying to contain him as a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience playing in the NFL. All right, last thing I want to talk about here, just the Broncos defense, one of the best in the league, and we've talked about it a little bit, but you see all these different things up here. Points per game allowed, yards per game allowed. They're basically top 10 in almost every defensive statistic besides takeaways. That's something that they have struggled with. But as far as anything from third down percentage to sacks to any defensive stat you can think of, the Broncos thrive with it. And Drake May has had a strong season in all sorts of different ways, leading the helm of the Patriots offense. And you guys have a lot of strengths. But what do you think are some aspects of the Patriots offense that are going to be not as successful with the Broncos defense? And then on the other side of that, how do you think the Patriots are going to be able to handle a stronger defense? I mean, you just played against one of the best defenses in the league in the Houston Texans. They obviously did not have a lot of offense to back it up. CJ Stroud laid an egg in that divisional game. But how do you think the Patriots offense will match up with another very strong defense in the NFL, especially at their home stadium, where you might have a tiny bit of a tilt in favor of the Broncos, considering how Broncos country is going to hopefully come out and really help with tilting the game as far as what the fans can do?
I think it's going to be similar to the Texans game. If I'm worried about our offensive line, that was a big worry last year. Will Campbell's come in, he performed well and then got injured. And since he's come back from injury, he's not looked the same. He's been really, really bad to the point where people are, speculating if they should even start him. And I mean, there's not really a good option behind him, but at the same time, it's just like he does not look the same as he did the first part of the year. So I really worry about the offensive line and the protection of Drake May. Drake May to secure the ball. He's fumbled a lot in the first two postseason games he's played in. So I really don't want that to be something that's too worried upon. But besides that, I know you got the Surtain jersey behind you. Drake May just threw across Derek Stingley and didn't matter. And Kayshon Boutte and Patrick Surtain faced off against each other in college. I think Kayshon Boutte can face off against him again and do the same thing he did in college, where he had over 100 yards. So I'm hoping that the Patriots can use their passing abilities and deep threats more in this game than they could against the Texans and the Chargers. But what I'm most worried about is making sure Drake May holds onto the ball, because if the Patriots have long possessions, then I think that can lead to some success. And I don't see a way the Broncos could win if we have longer possessions.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at the way the Broncos played against Josh Allen and the Bills last week. It wasn't the cleanest defensive game, but they got a lot of turnovers and they showed a lot of weakness that we don't usually see from Josh Allen. From my perspective, I'm obviously hoping that they can do something like that. As somebody who's probably pretty familiar with Josh Allen, considering you're in the same division, I'm sure that was definitely interesting for you to see as well. But
him running at the half was crazy. That was stupid.
But I mean, I don't know. Just final thoughts here. I think regardless of who wins this game, I think a lot of people are underestimating the game that we have on our hands this coming weekend. Initially, I think everybody was saying, wow, get ready for a Patriots blowout. It is not going to be a fun game to watch. Regardless of who wins, I think we've got a good game on our hands this weekend. It's going to be a great AFC Championship, and I'm really excited to see what both teams can do on both sides of the ball with a ticket to Super Bowl 60 on the line.
I agree. And I mean, for the Broncos fans, it was all season being called frauds, and same can be said for the Patriots. You have easy schedules. The Broncos, they've come back too many times. We're both in the AFC Championship, so people can just shut their mouths. And if I wish Bo Nix was here, because we'd have a more fun game, I think, in some aspects of just it'd be a lot more fun to speculate, and who knows what would happen. I'd be a lot more scared, I'll tell you that. But I'm happy that either way, this is going to be a good game.
Yeah, very exciting. And as usual, we'll be keeping you covered on everything going on this week up to the game here at Broncos Digest. We've also got some very exciting guests coming up, some very notable individuals in the world of the Denver Broncos, local media. So make sure you're staying tuned to come check out all those awesome interviews and all that stuff. That's going to do it for us today here at Broncos Digest. Jace, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And as usual, we'll be keeping you covered on everything you need to know here at Broncos Digest regarding the Denver Broncos in a very exciting week leading up to the AFC Championship.